So, what if I told you that your body literally starts changing its biological functions after just a single hour of sitting? Wild, right? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the research from DeskFit Daily. We're going to uncover the fascinating and honestly sometimes really surprising science of how desk workers can stay pain-free and super productive without ever even leaving the office. If you've ever felt that stiff lower back at 2 p.m. or just been hit by a sudden wave of brain fog, you are in exactly the right place. Think about it. You probably sat down at your desk this morning, grabbed your coffee, maybe started checking some emails, entirely without realizing what your body is quietly doing to itself right now. We are going to break down exactly what happens to your muscles, your spine, your metabolism, and even your brain over the course of a typical 8-hour workday. And let me tell you, this physiological chain reaction is absolutely remarkable. A lot of us think chronic back pain or joint stiffness is just something that happens when we get older. But the truth, it actually often starts right at your desk. And these physical changes begin incredibly fast. I mean, we're talking within just 1 hour. It doesn't take days, it doesn't take weeks for the damage to initiate. The clock is literally ticking the very second you sink into that office chair. Okay, let's dive into section 1, the hidden cost of sitting, an hour-by-hour breakdown. Let's look at your workday like a biological roadmap. See, this isn't just some random assortment of aches and pains you get. It's actually a very predictable, step-by-step process. It starts with muscle changes in the morning, progresses to skeletal stress, then moves into a metabolic slump, before finally culminating in complete cognitive fatigue by the late afternoon. Let's kick things off with hours 1 and 2. Almost immediately, you experience something called muscle inhibition. Basically, because your chair is doing all the heavy lifting of holding you up, your glutes, which by the way are the largest muscle group in your entire body, they essentially just power down. They stop firing. And at the exact same time, your hip flexors, right in the front of your legs, get stuck in the shortened position, tightening up like rubber bands that are just ready to snap. It's kind of like leaving a powerful car engine just idling in park. I mean, sure, you're still breathing, your heart's beating, your body is technically running, but the major metabolic engines, those big leg and glute muscles, are completely disengaged. So you aren't burning fuel efficiently at all, and your structural support system is basically taking a nap while you type away. Then, right as we approach lunchtime, so roughly hours 3 to 4, the physical stress shifts from your inactive muscles directly into your skeletal system. Since your muscles have completely tapped out, your poor spine has to take on the entire burden of gravity. Think about those spinal discs deep inside your lower back. They act as natural hydraulic cushions, filled with fluid. Well, after 3 to 4 hours of continuous, motionless sitting, that unrelenting pressure literally squishes the fluid right out of those shock absorbers. And without that fluid, the bones sit much closer together, pinching nerves and causing that super familiar deep ache you probably feel right before your lunch break. But wait, because there is actually a much deeper issue at play here. We've talked about muscles and bones, sure, but those structural aches, they're really just the warning lights on your dashboard. The biggest problem doesn't actually happen until several hours later. And honestly, this is where things become genuinely dangerous for your long-term health. We have all felt that heavy post-lunch slump, right? But hey, it's not just that huge turkey sandwich you ate. During hours 5 and 6, your body enters a severe metabolic slump that goes way beyond just feeling a little drowsy at your desk. Your internal chemistry is actually shifting. This whole slump happens because of an enzyme called lipoprotein lipase. Now, this is a crucial little enzyme responsible for breaking down fat in your bloodstream. When you sit completely still for 5 or 6 hours, the production of this vital enzyme absolutely plummets, drops off a cliff. And because of this, your body stops effectively regulating blood sugar and totally loses its ability to process fats efficiently. Your metabolism essentially just grinds to a halt. Finally, we hit hours 7 and 8. By the end of your shift, this compounding lack of movement across the entire day finally catches up to your brain, your cognitive function. You know the feeling? You find yourself reading the exact same email 3 times over without actually comprehending a single word of it. And why does that happen? Because your decreased overall circulation acts just like a dying battery. The lack of movement leads to poor blood sugar regulation, which in turn reduces all that essential oxygen-rich blood flow right up to your brain. So that notorious late afternoon brain fog, it is not a lack of caffeine, it is a lack of circulation. Your brain is literally starving for fresh blood flow. Moving on to section 2, the reversibility factor, your body's remarkable adaptability. Okay, good news time.
every single physiological effect we just went over is actually completely reversible. The crucial takeaway here is that sitting itself is not the enemy. I mean, humans have been sitting for thousands of years. But sitting entirely without movement, that is the real catalyst for damage. When you lock your body into a single rigid posture for 8 hours straight, that's when the mechanics break down. Movement really is the medicine here.
Because your body is highly adaptable, it will eagerly reverse this damage. Think about it like this. Your body originally adapted to the chair by shutting down muscles to save energy, right? Well, it will use those exact same mechanisms to adapt back to movement and strength. You just have to give it consistent, small signals to move throughout the day. Now for our final part, Section 3, your daily desk reset, the science-backed solution. So to fix this whole biological breakdown, you do not need a massive lifestyle overhaul. Seriously, you don't need a fancy gym membership, you don't need expensive ergonomic desk equipment, and you certainly do not need hours of free time. You only need small, consistent movement breaks, strategically distributed throughout your day, to just wake those systems back up. Take a look at this schedule. This daily desk reset gives you the exact micro movements you need to easily counteract every single stage of that chronological breakdown we covered earlier. Notice how incredibly simple this is. A 2-minute seated cat-cow stretch in the morning to rehydrate those spinal discs. A 2-minute glute squeeze mid-morning to turn that idling engine back on. A quick 10-minute walk at lunch to spike that lipoprotein lipase production right back up. It is essentially a targeted strike against sedentary damage. And honestly, the most incredible part of this whole evidence-based plan really boils down to one simple number: 30. Yep, 30. It takes under 30 minutes of total extra movement, seamlessly spread out in tiny 2 to 5 minute chunks across your entire 8-hour shift, to completely change your physiological state. This under 30-minute protocol is what scientists call the minimum effective dose. Basically, it's the exact amount of stimulus required to counteract a full day stuck at your desk. It requires absolutely no equipment, zero gym time, and no real disruption to your work schedule. It just proves that small, strategic movement breaks create massive, massive long-term health benefits, not to mention keeping your productivity super sharp all day long. Look, every single hour of your workday is just another opportunity. It's a chance to hit the reset button on your body's chemistry and mechanics. Your body was beautifully designed for motion. It was definitely not designed for staying perfectly still in a chair all day. So as we wrap up this explainer and you head back into your workflow, I want to leave you with one vital thought to ponder. What are you going to do with your next hour?